The Revised Fundamentals of Caregiving is a novel written by Jonathan Evison in 2012. Jonathan Evison is an American writer born on September 27, 1968 in San Jose, California. Prior to the publication of his first novel, All About Lulu, he is said to have written 6, 3 of which he physically buried and burned all of the rejection letters. The Revised Fundamentals of Caregiving, published in 2012, is his third novel. It was widely acclaimed, so much so that it earned the writer his second Pacific Northwest Booksellers Award. Evison was named the most engaging author by the American Book Association in 2009 and 2011. His work, often marked by its emotionalism and offbeat humor, has been compared by critics to authors such as Salinger, Charles Dickens, and Boyle. The book tells the story of Ben Benjamin, a 39-year-old man whose life is in shambles. His wife had been trying for months to get him to sign the divorce papers. He's broke, living in a small, dark house with no job and no hope for a happy future. In order to be able to pay his bills, he decided to take a night class in caregiving. At the end of the course, he is then introduced to a family consisting of the mother Elsa and her son Trevor. Trev is 19 years old and suffers from muscular dystrophy, living in a wheelchair and needed help with even small movements. Ben initially doesn't understand Trev's habits. He wakes up every morning at the same time, eats only waffles, watches the Weather Channel every day. He never leaves the house except on Thursdays, which is movie morning. One day they decided to take a road trip to get to Salt Lake City, where they would meet Trev's father, who had recently been in an accident. On the way, they would stop to admire alternative tourist attractions that Trev had been scouting for years, marking them on a map. At a certain point, they met a girl, Dot, who was hitchhiking in a diner and invited her to embark on the journey together. The journey continues and Trev invites Dot on her first date, when Ben continues to relive the pains of his past. Only at the end of the book, after several clues and stories so vivid in the memory of the wounded Ben, we are told what happened to his 2 children, Piper and Jody, namely that they passed away a few years earlier. The film adaptation of this work is unique, and the differences between the two are many. First of all, the title has changed. The book is called The Revised Fundamentals of Caregiving, while the film is called The Fundamentals of Caring. Caregiving is a job, one of the most important aspects of the book. In fact, the opening and closing pages refer to the course the protagonist has taken on how to be a good medical assistant. Caring is a more generic term, which also refers to the emotional sphere. In the film, in fact, caregiving takes a backseat, while the friendship relationship established between Trev and his caregiver takes center stage. The book is characterized by great attention to detail and long, accurate description, both of people and places, but also of situations and feelings. It is written in the first person from the point of view of the protagonist, Ben, and in every single pages we can find his thoughts, which are reported in a real stream of consciousness. There is no trace in the film of this reflective and descriptive aspect. In fact, there is no narrative voice, only dialogues. The various chapters dedicated to the vivid memories of the protagonist's life before the misfortune are reported with a few scenes of a few seconds, blurred and slowed down. The work conceals themes of considerable literary importance. Evison recounts stark and naked realities, contemporary realities of families, and how they easily crumble today. It's an entirely American novel, rich in description of landscapes and with references to typical American habits and places. There is a theme that unites and binds all the three characters. Bad things happen to good people. Both the protagonists and to Trev and to every single person they meet on the journey. From Ben's divorce and grieving, to Trev's disability, to Dot dealing with the loss of her mother, to Bob, which is Trev's father, trying to make up for years of a mistake he made a long time ago. Undoubtedly, there is a central presence of grief and depression. We see, from the first paragraph to the last, a man who faces pain every day, a pain that causes a depression. The protagonist is never described as depressed in either the book or the film, but there are multiple behaviors and characteristics attributable to depression. For example, the abandonment to oneself, escaping and not dealing with problems, and accompanying loss of self-esteem and hope. In addition, very current is the theme of disability and awareness of it. So much so that the book describes many details of muscular dystrophy and how it affects the daily life. Trev is forced to take large amounts of drugs, which are meticulously listed in the book, and he finds it difficult and a small daily gesture, which Avison does not hesitate to describe, even if they are embarrassing. What led me to choose this work is undoubtedly its contemporaneity, but also its rendering to film. It is an exemplary and peculiar work, as the story does not end in a happy ending, as one may expect, let alone a tragedy. The film is engaging, interesting, comical, and with many twists and turns. The choice of actors is also excellent. Poirot reflects exactly the idea of the reader has of Ben, and Selena Gomez plays very well the cold, detached, and hurt girl. Despite this consideration, I found the film to be very far from the book. If I had to define the movie adaptation with one word, it would be summarizing. First of all, the first half of the book is practically forgotten. In it, Ben's daily life is told and lived with various episodes and events that go beyond the main storyline and help us to get into the character's life and fully understand them. In addition to numerous narrative discordances in the story, another detail that separates the two works is the representation of the characters. First and foremost, the protagonist in the book is outlined as a loser, a hopeless failure, who, despite his attempts, knows within himself that he can be never happy in his life again. In the film, even though his financial and day-to-day situation is described, he can be said to be a hero. In contrast, the figure of Trev's father in the movie is portrayed as a man who doesn't care about anything but himself, while in the book he is a father who is deeply remorseful about his action and tries to make amends with his son every day.